Hi, I will be sharing pencil coloring with you guys today. The process is a bit long, but the result is so rewarding. Welcome back everyone. Today Altenew released the Build a Flower Parrot Tulips stamp set. The second I saw the curls and shading and details on that outline layer, I knew I had to pencil color it exactly as the way I did the very first Build a Flower, which was the Camellia stamp. If you don't remember, back then I only just got my Prismacolor pencils and I was blown away by the pigment, the intense pigment that pencils had. I was so proud of this card. Alright, so I'm using the A2 watercolor cardstock to pencil color. I have never used it to pencil color on, but I thought that since it has a lot of tooth, a lot of texture that is, I'll be able to lay on a lot of layers of color and get a really vibrant, bold result without a waxy residue that Prismacolor often leaves. I'll stamp the image using two inks to make a shade, a wine colored shade actually. So the inks I used are Cosmic Berry, and then I'll stamp over it in Vineyard Berry. Then I'll stamp over it again in Cosmic Berry. My ink pads are quite dry. I'll have to get the re-ink so you can see that I am struggling here. Now that I have a starting point to my image, these stamped areas are going to be where the shadow is going to be the darkest. I will use a mix of both Polychromos and Prismacolor pencils today. I will start by adding the darkest color onto the stamped area. This shade is going to be same as or darker than the ink so that it covers up the stamped portion or makes it even more darker. I'll try my best to get this as dark as possible as it's kind of inside where there is less light or almost no light at all. I'll add my dark color and pull it out a bit in a flicking motion. I will also add this dark pigment onto the tips of the petals. This was PC931 in case you are interested. And to this I'll apply PC995 with a heavy hand and blend the darker pigment. I'll apply this everywhere where I applied the dark pigment. I actually googled this flower and saw this in black parrot tulips. You should absolutely have a look. It is a beautiful color. It is actually burgundy wine, hints of pink. Obviously I won't be able to replicate the exact shade with pencils. Maybe I'll get it with a mix of markers and pencils or even watercolor, but I think I did a decent job in getting a close enough color. To blend this further, I'll use PC994. Now this is quite pink, but this will be the transition color between the dark and the fluorescent pigment that I'll apply on the highlights. There's a lot of tooth on this paper. I still have tons of area to lay my layers down after applying the fluorescent pink. I'll come back in with one of the darker pencils to blend the lines better. This is how it will go for the rest of the petals. I'll show you a couple more petals and then move on to the leaves. I will also use Polychromos white to add a bit of highlight. This will be added only to the tips and curls of the petals. that I'm done coloring the flower, I will take a black polychrome pencil and add detail to the extreme nooks and areas that are completely in shadow. Keep adding detail to the black or the darkest shade you have. It will make so much difference. For my leaf, I just stamped the leaf in Mountain Pine Dye Ink, and I'll stamp over it again in olive ink to match my pencils. If you want, you can give it some time to dry or heat to set this. I didn't do that. It doesn't make a lot of difference. Unless you want very visible, distinct lines, that is. I have picked up a polychromos pencil for the first layer. I'm only adding shading following the stamped lines, and then I'll pick up lighter colors to blend this a bit, but not too much. I'll only just extend the darker areas and diffuse them out for a smooth transition, more or less. I want fibrous looking leaves, not very blended ones. I'll also add fluorescent yellow for the highlights. I'll leave you to watch how I do this. I keep working on it till I'm happy with it. I don't want all my leaves to look similar though, and they won't. So I decided to make a slimline card, still figuring on the size that I like. This one's just okay. I'm going to add inking on the panel. This is a 4x8 panel of Crest Solar White cardstock. And I want dark green at the bottom, the lower portion of the panel, which lightens as we move our eye up the panel, an ombre background. I love these ombre background. You will see that I am bouncing my blending brush. It's because I want a texture on here, especially at the lower edge. I'm using fresh leaf dye ink, and the reason I didn't add olive or mountain pine dye inks, the ones that I use to stamp the leaves, is because I want to stamp more leaves directly onto the card panel using those same inks, or maybe one of those inks. And fresh leaf is a little different kind of grain, and it won't merge with the leaves. Now that I have my images kind of where I wanted them, I will stamp the extra leaves in Mountain Pine Dye Ink. There's going to be a lot of eyeballing here, and I also won't worry about the leaves not stamping properly, as I will color these in as well to maintain a uniform look among the leaves. I will turn the stamp around and it looks like there are different leaves popping, but it's the same leaves, just I'm using just the top and the bottom of the leaf. I did mention that this is Crest Solar White panel, so I will not get the same deep result in coloring as I did on the watercolor cardstock, but it will look great nonetheless. I'll color a couple of leaves on camera and then the rest off camera. Now, as I placed my image, that white outline is not looking good. Plus, I also thought that the floating leaves need shadows. So that's what I will do now. I will add shadow to my leaves. This will be really subtle, just enough to ground them. Off camera, I fussy cut the white outline, and now it looks so much better. At least to my eye it does. Maybe to someone's eye it just looks one hot mess. I also used the artist markers to color in the white edges of the flower. And then I realized a bit of Cosmic Berry ink on that green stem bit there on the flower. And it looks so cool over there. So I thought that maybe if I add a bit of marker detail onto the stem and the leaves, it would look very nice. So have you ever seen those purple or magenta lines on roses, the stem of roses? I'm going to try to replicate that. And it looks so good, guys. You have to try this and see for yourself. Okay, so once I figured out my placement, I'll pick up the images with the glad press and seal and then figure out my sentiment placement. I'll stamp the sentiment love in Obsidian ink, and I also add a secondary sentiment to complete a phrase. Now I'll add fine black paint splatters from the 12 pan set using the Altenew brush, which is empty. It doesn't have any water, by the way. While waiting for the splatters to dry, I started adding Cosmic Berry Artist marker strokes onto the leaves and blended them out with a lighter marker, depending on how light I wanted the stroke to be. If I didn't want it to be very light, I would blend it with the color before Cosmic Berry, that is lighter than Cosmic Berry. But if I wanted it very light, the stroke to be very light, then I would use Rose Quartz, which is the lightest marker in this family. Okay, so I've attached the panel onto the card base, and I've also added foam tape onto the back of my floral arrangement so that it would stand out from the rest of the foliage. I'll adhere the images but won't press them firmly, as I might change the position of the leaves. Major thanks to Jennifer Maguire for introducing us to the press and seal, and the person who brought it to my country. And to finish, I'll just add Cosmic Berry marker detail to the popped up leaves as well, and I'm done. Yay, my first slimline card is ready, and I'll think I'll make a taller one next time. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial and picked up some tips and tricks. I don't often cover pencil coloring in videos as it's quite time consuming. The initial color on the flower took 45 minutes, and I'm not including the time it took for me to add the black pencil detail. Maybe I'll cover pencils in an Altenew Academy class. They are more detailed and span over days. Make sure you stop by the blog to take part in the blog hop, and of course to increase your chances at winning the gift certificates. Thank you for watching, everyone. Bye!
Hello there! Did that video just spark your creativity? And do you want more project ideas and inspiration videos too? Well, if you do, please make sure that you subscribe to the Altenew YouTube channel. Also, make sure that you do click that notification bell so you don't miss a video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye bye.